Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm excited to be back for a bonus session today. I have my guests from this morning, Naomi Halbrook, who is here, and we have just been having a good time behind camera, talking about the joys of entrepreneurship, about being across the waters from each other and not always getting the time zones right. So, this is one of the things that we have been talking about, discussing, getting to know each other. And Naomi and I got connected through a book launch for a book that I was recently a part of. And I'm excited to connect with her and have her be here with the tribe and share her knowledge and insight. We kind of had each other at the mental wellness conversation because she does a lot with that as well. So before we get into our conversation, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Thanks so much, Lachelle. Great to be here with you today. So yes, as you said, my kind of real sort of area now is helping and supporting women, empowering them to really sort of take control of their own health and their own well-being. But where that kind of comes from is that 20 years ago, or actually just over 20 years ago, I trained as a holistic therapist. Always wanted to kind of have a career that involved giving, whether it was giving a service, whether it was making people feel sort of better about themselves. And then went on to a successful 20-year career in sales and operations for some big sort of global brands. But I hit 39 and kind of had a little bit of an epiphany really as to where I was going. I guess that kind of real typical midlife kind of crossroads, full on in my career, and realized that my mental health and my physical health were really, really suffering, typical kind of, career focused, not looking after myself properly, working crazy long hours. And I just got to a point at 39 where I was like, I didn't feel I could continue that lifestyle for another 20, 25 years. So it was a case of, do I, change route? And that's exactly what I did. So I spent about a year and a half really turning my own lifestyle around, getting healthier, getting fitter, getting more active, thinking about my mental health and my well-being. And then I retrained as a nutrition consultant. And now I empower women, generally over 40, to really, really take control of their health and to help them to lose weight, to help them to regain that energy. A lot of women that have got to that stage, they've either put everything into their careers or they've put everything into their families and motherhood, and they've just left themselves a little bit behind. So it's what I do is really sort of work with women in transformation programs and to help them to kind of be re-energized at that stage of their lives.
I love that. And, that is just something that, you're across the waters. I'm here in Georgia and we still have the same issue.
Absolutely.
Because I struggled with depression for 13 years. So what is it that you think has us in this state of mind of thinking, we can only do one thing? So like if you're in this career, it's like everything goes into the career. You don't think about your health. You don't think about relationships. It's like you're career driven. Why is it that people feel like they cannot have a balance between all the different responsibilities?
Yeah, do you know, Lachelle, it's funny you should say that, because I was out walking this morning, something I always do every day just to get some real clarity and some peace of mind and everything else. And I was kind of going through that in my head and thinking, what is it that prevents us, like you say, from kind of having it all, I suppose? And I know from my own point of view, and I know from a lot of women that I talk to, whether it's in situations like this or clients that come to me, generally as women, we are really bad at saying no. We feel that we have to give everything to everybody. And that was absolutely me. I never ever turned down a boss's deadline, even if it was completely unrealistic and I already had numerous deadlines. I would never say no to helping out another colleague. I would never say no to a family member in need or a friend who turned up on my doorstep, all those things. I think that we literally do kind of leave the empty barrel for ourselves. And I think it's something that a lot of women really, really struggle with, is that feeling of not giving everything and kind of almost keeping a little bit back for themselves. But I would, if I could talk to myself 20 years ago, I would absolutely say, you've got to give, you've got to, pour from your own cup first. Otherwise you have nothing to give anybody else. And an analogy I absolutely love, which a coach that I worked with actually told me, was you have to put your own oxygen mask on first. And it sticks in my brain. So yeah, I think we inherently just feel very guilty about saying no. But if you're doing it for your health reasons, or your mental health, your physical health, you shouldn't feel guilty for it at all.
Mm-hmm. So true. And I think one of the things that has helped me with that, because that was one of my struggles, it was like that, growing up as an only child and being a high achiever, always getting recognized for high marks with school, I kind of long for that gratification from people saying, oh, you're doing a good job. So it's like you're looking for these opportunities for people to praise you, so to speak. And, what really did it for me was just thinking that, what, I am not an island. I can't do all this, and I want to show up. So if you want to show up and be the best of yourself, you can't do that doing 12 things by yourself. You have to be willing to say there's a limit. So I love how you bring that up, because that's one of the things that, we are seeking some kind of validation from this experience that someone's given us, or opportunity, without really thinking, is this really going to come transfer to really being the way we want it to be? Because I didn't really realize, it's like, oh, I want to get this praise, but what is it going to cost me? How many nights am I not going to sleep because I have to stay up and try to get this project done? And by that time, you're so exhausted, it's not even 100% of what you really would want to be out there representing you in your work.
Yeah, so true. So true. I think we just feel that we kind of have to be everything to everybody, don't we? And to ourselves as well. And I got asked this question yesterday. It was kind of like, who are you letting down if you don't do that? And there is an element of, I'm letting myself down. And even that is almost something that we don't allow ourselves to do. And I know that, the reason we really sort of connected and sort of felt that connection was obviously both of our history sort of with depression. And I guess that's a little bit comes around to it as well, that it's over 30 years ago that I suffered with adolescent trauma that went on for 7 years. And back in the 90s, it wasn't that sort of done thing to have therapy or to talk to anybody about it. It was, I don't say it was swept under the carpet, but it was very much, you just kind of, got back up again and you carried on and you fought the day and you did all those things. And it was only really 18 months ago when I had a complete nervous breakdown from all those years of pushing myself to the limit, but also with all this other stuff, noise going on in my head, and I guess my heart as well. When it's depression, it's not just your head; it's kind of your whole being. And I think there was an element of me that actually felt guilty for allowing myself to deal with those emotions. But another thing I often say to women is that if you don't deal with those emotions and trauma, depression, anxiety, it will come out when you least need it to and when you least expect it to. So, you've got to sometimes tackle these things head on and just face up to them and deal with them and work your way through them.
I love that. And, so, that brings me to the question, because there's so many people right now that are in that place where they have been burying things underneath so much. What would you say would be the first step to kind of start that journey of awareness or asking for help? In your case, how did you start that? Because it had been going on for so long.
Absolutely. And if I'm really honest, when I was actually going through my breakdown, I still didn't really know what was happening. I just knew that I was an absolute wreck, a state. You know, I would literally go to the supermarket and there would be tears just streaming down my face, but I wasn't actually crying as such. It was just coming out from within. And I was very aware that I had really, really withdrawn myself. And I think that's the first thing that I would say is, it's very, very hard when you're suffering with depression and anxiety or any kind of mental health conditions. I think you have a natural instinct to protect yourself. And I live alone, so I don't have a partner and children. So for me, I guess it was even easier to pull back and withdraw, because I could make all the excuses under the sun not to see people, or, you know, to kind of put things off and delay them a little bit. But I think that's the first thing is, if you don't have somebody really, really close to you that you can completely confide in, then find an organization that you can reach out to and speak to. Because I have an incredible friend who literally just scooped me up, even though she doesn't live anywhere near me. She scooped me up, and literally she, you know, messaged me every day. She checked that I was eating, and, you know, just all those things that you just really, really need somebody to do. And at that point when you just feel so low, I think it's that real human connection. And of course, as you said, you know, we've been in a really difficult situation for the last 10 months, something that none of us have ever experienced. And it has withdrawn people naturally from, you know, natural kind of communications and connections. So the first thing I would absolutely say is have somebody that you feel really safe to confide in, that won't judge you, all those things. But if you don't have that person that can fit that kind of description, then definitely reach out to there's so many incredible organizations out there worldwide now that are there to help with, you know, any kind of mental health sort of challenges or crisis.
I love that. That is so true. And, you know, so that just brings me to the next question is, you know, we had an issue with saying no to everybody. So how did you rearrange things, flip the script so that you had boundaries? What did that look like?
Yeah, so actually this was quite a big thing for me, because I've always been that kind of just say yes and don't challenge anything. For me to even say the word no, it kind of was a bit like a slow motion kind of film. So I, you know, it's kind of like it was coming out, but I couldn't quite say it. No, it was like The Exorcist.
I love it. I mean, hey, been there, done that. So I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
So actually what I did was I decided to be really honest and upfront with the closest people to me. So instead of just kind of making all these changes and people being like, what on earth is going on? You know, I spoke to my closest family members. I spoke to my closest friends. And I was really honest. And I've, you know, in the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, I just don't hide, you know, I used to hide all of this. It was all, you know, I had the mask on, which I know you exactly the same. Nobody knew all of what was going on behind the scenes every day. And I guess I just got exhausted from it. And the decision I made 18 months ago when I started therapy was, I'm owning this now. I'm not putting it in a box. I'm not hiding it behind a screen. So I thought, I'm just going to come out and be really honest. So I spoke to everybody really honestly and said, this is what I've been going through. This is what it's resulted in. You don't need to worry. I'm okay. But I have to change the way that I am about some things. And the really incredible thing, Lachelle, is that not one person kind of challenged me or had a problem with it. And even, you know, even my father, he's 87 years old. He is, you know, that he's that generation post-war that was, you know, you didn't complain about anything, you made do with everything. And we have an incredibly close relationship and speak to each other, you know, so often and everything else. And we've always had a very honest relationship. However, I wasn't honest about my feelings. I didn't want to worry him. And he probably out of everybody was the most incredible and the most accepting, just no problem about, you know, I may not always want to speak on the phone. Sometimes I just don't feel up to a conversation, or it might be that I want a whole weekend without any form of technology or text messaging. And yeah, I think we're more fearful of putting the boundaries in than the actual action of once the boundaries are in there.
So true. And it's just so liberating once you have them.
Yeah.
I mean, even I went through the same thing, having that conversation. It's so empowering, because you're not looking for people to agree or understand. It's just the strength you get from actually verbalizing and saying it, that really helps you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned another thing about, having that guilt and everything during these things that we have going on in our head. And I know for me, what helped me was forgiving myself. So, because we talk about forgiving others, traumas, or different things that were where we were victimized or we were a victim, or even just that mindset. So, what did forgiveness look like for you? Was that a part of your journey with your healing process? Was going through any kind of forgiveness?
Yeah, I'll be really honest with you. I would say that I'm still going through that stage of it.
Mhm.
Um, I think that, like you say, that is absolutely the hardest part out of everything. I think you can forgive everybody else in life,
Mhm.
but you find it the hardest to kind of forgive yourself or to make peace with yourself. So that, I would say that is still a work in progress. And I'm still going through therapy now. That's been a weekly, occurrence since summer of 2019. And so, yeah, it's, and I made that decision to myself that when I started therapy, it was almost like I've taken this huge step. I am not just going to get on the bus and do half the journey. I am going until that bus goes no further. So, it wasn't about I'll go for 6 months, I'll do 12 months. Because even now, 18 months into that therapy, we still, I say we, because, obviously you're working directly with your therapist, but we still come across things that are from 30 years ago that I have just buried so deeply that all of a sudden they surface like they're a fresh emotion again. So I think the forgiveness side is, I wouldn't say I'm there yet, but I am definitely sort of moving towards it. And I think acceptance is just as important as forgiveness.
So true.
Yeah,
Because it's so easy to, crawl under a rock, pretend that it's not there, put on, a mask, go a
yeah.
different direction. Been there, done that. So I definitely understand that. So can you talk to some of the audience members about the importance of seeking help with a therapist or a coach or something during this? Because I know for me, it was a game changer. And you mentioned the whole thing of, even though I had a house full of people, there was still that isolation of those feelings, thoughts, and emotions, and that inner voice, that it didn't matter if I was, around a whole family and doing what I was doing, because it went on for 13 years and I had all these people around me. In your case, you were by yourself. And so it's not always a thing of just being alone physically. You still can be alone when there's a crowd of people around you. So talk to us about the investing in yourself and what that looks like and how important that is to you.
Absolutely. And, you just hit the nail on the head there, Lachelle, when you said that, is that depression, anxiety, and all other mental health conditions don't select their, I say victim, but, don't select who, it doesn't matter whether you've got children, whether you're, got a career, whatever. You are all, everybody has, that, that ability to sort of suffer like that. And like you say, investing in yourself, this is such a key thing for me, because I so often come across women, especially in my transformation programs, who feel guilty investing in themselves. They feel guilty spending the money. They feel guilty investing the time. They feel guilty thinking that they're putting themselves as a priority. But what I would say is that, especially the women that come through my transformation programs with me, one thing they all say, even in the first couple of weeks, is I wish I'd met you years ago, or I wish I'd started this journey years ago. And the same for me. You know, I started therapy at the age of 44 for adolescent trauma from the age of 12. I don't look at it and think, oh my gosh, I wasted 30 years of my life, because what I have learned and the resilience that I have taught myself and the ability to overcome trauma and all those other things has made me the person I am today. So I don't regret that. But I would say to anybody that, first of all, you're absolutely worth it. Your self-worth is so high. And whilst the trouble is that things like depression and anxiety make you feel worthless. So you're already starting on a minus, really. You're already starting thinking, I don't deserve to spend money on myself. I don't deserve to invest time in myself because I'm really, really worthless. But it is the only way to make that sort of step and to make that progress. And I know I mentioned to you that I'm really, really excited about a new collaboration that I'm working on with with 3 wellness experts in the US. And we are actually launching a program called Vibe Series. The most amazing thing is that we're actually doing a free 7-day series starting next Monday, the 18th. And this is going to be like a 360-degree holistic approach to women's health. So, you know, movement, nutrition, activity, talking about emotional well-being. And I'm sure you've experienced the same, Lachelle, is that with depression and anxiety, it's not just a case of taking a pill and it cures it. You have to really start to rebuild the foundations, get the fundamentals right, from your nutrition to your daily exercise to what you exercise your brain and your mind with. You know, I don't watch the news anymore because of what's going on out there in the world. And I know that for me, that is an absolute toxin to my anxiety. So I just you know, it's not something that's in my life right now. But there's lots of little things that can be done. You know, getting out in nature every day has absolutely been a critical thing to me. Having, like I say, that those sort of key people that are really understanding, don't sort of think that, you know, oh, it's just depression, or, you know, you'll grow out of it or whatever. They really, really thoroughly understand it. And I think that's the thing, is finding people who understand it, whether they've been through it or whether they're just empathetic to it, is such a huge thing.
I love that. And I mean, that sounds like a great opportunity to be involved in that. So that's wonderful. So one of the things that I would ask is, you know, talk to somebody who has been through the experience. And I know for me, after my depression, you know, it was like a passion. I mean, now it's like I eat, sleep, talking about mental wellness. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, that's my thing. But for somebody who is in that space where they've learned the lesson, they want to give back, but they kind of have this fear that, oh, I'm not completely 100% fixed myself. You know, I can't give any value because I need to get myself together first. So talk to somebody about what advice you would give them about that situation. About waiting till everything is picture perfect.
How does the saying go? There is never a perfect time. You know, there's never a perfect time to buy a house. There's never a perfect time to start a family. There's never a perfect time for anything. If you are waiting for the perfect time, you will lose all the time. And you know, it's certainly something that crossed my mind when I kind of went into, you know, changed my career and went into this. There was an element of me about 2 years ago when I was really struggling that I actually felt a little bit like an imposter, that I was, you know, I'm giving all this advice to my clients, but behind the scenes, you know, I curl up on the sofa sometimes and just cry, or just have no energy and don't want to talk to anybody. But I actually think that I'm best placed to help and support women through health transitions and health transformations, because, you know, I'm not just reading it from a textbook. I've lived it. I've understood it. I've found ways to, I'm not cured. None of us will ever be cured. If we've had depression, anxiety, the likelihood is it will always be there in the background, but it's about creating a lifestyle that enables you to minimize I say the flare-ups, because that's what I say. If I have those moments, I kind of say I'm having a flare-up, or whatever it might be. And I think it's just having that understanding and acceptance that there is never ever a right time. But if you know that you can give something, and you know that you have knowledge and expertise, and you can give support and empathy, then do it. Don't wait.
I love that. I love that, because just as we were talking about before filming, hey, there is nothing perfect here.
Nope.
I mean, it could be, this child is sick, or, you have technical difficulties on your, internet connection, or, the lights get messed up, so there's never that perfect scenario where things always work as planned. And perfection is really an illusion. So
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned that, because, there's something about the growth that takes place, even just in taking the journey. I look back on some of my first videos, and it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I asked that question, or, I was talking like that, but it's a journey. You start off not really knowing. And one of the things that just kind of came to me while you were talking is, we kind of have to start over and reinvent ourselves. So, when we were on this road and journey of saying yes to everything, we never really understood how to have things in balance. We were just driven with trying to produce outcomes based on other people's demands. So then when we come into this situation now, it's like, trying to figure out and create our own roadmap and what we value, what our vision is, so that we can move forward and what fits into that. And so that's a learning process, because we were living our life so different before that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, like you say, there is an element of kind of completely rebuilding your path and your journey, but actually it's something that just excites me so much now, this last few, and actually even kind of coming through the therapy and all the new opportunities, and I guess you see so much clearer, don't you? You in depression and anxiety, there is just this constant fog and this cloud and this white noise, and it just feels like there's no clarity. And all of a sudden, this last sort of, I guess, 6 to 12 months, the clarity that I've got from going through that journey has enabled me to, start new opportunities, to, really sort of, like you say, reassess what you want in life. And actually at 45, I find that really liberating and quite empowering to think, I'm 45, but actually I kind of feel a little bit like I'm starting over again, but with, the knowledge and a bit more understanding, and all those things that you don't have when you're younger, which I think is an exciting place to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it just being able to tell yourself the truth.
Yeah.
It brings up this story. The other day, my daughter had some proofs from her senior pictures. And so one of the poses, she was like, oh, I look crazy on this one. I look kind of psychotic or something. She said it was some kind of crazy term. And so her brother looked at it, her younger brother, and he said, oh, yeah, you do look like that. And then she came and she said, Mom, can you believe he said? I said, well, you opened up the door for that. Okay, you said it yourself. And so now you're mad that somebody agrees with it. So, hey, don't say it if you don't want to hear the truth, So I just thought that was so funny, because she could say it about herself, but she didn't want somebody else to co-sign and agree with her.
Absolutely.
So we have to be willing to say, okay, if you want to say that, there are some people that will attract to that mindset. That's the same thing with negativity. If you find, oh, it's so terrible, we have to wear a mask and life is, just unfortunate or whatever, you're going to find people that will co-sign with that. But if you want to think positive and think of opportunities and ways you can, impact people's lives, then you're going to find that also. So I thought that was
Absolutely.
a great example of that. That's the kind of stuff you get over here at the Atkins house, okay? It's nonstop. So tell everybody the best way to follow you, to get connected with you for this challenge. And but before we do that, I want to ask you, what is on the horizon for you for 2021?
Oh, exciting. Well, I feel like even regardless of the pandemic, 2020 for me felt like a year of stripping things back and rebuilding foundations and this whole journey of therapy and working through all these different things. And now kind of 2021 feels really exciting for me. I know we're still going through a global pandemic. We still have some really uncertain times, but I think for me, it's a year of some really exciting collaborative relationships. So, work. It's a time that's great, especially with online, that we can connect across the world and have all these different sort of collaborations and meet all these people that we would never ever have had the chance to meet. So, I think there's definitely going to be some real collaborations. There's I want to continue to do all the work that I do and to really, really help with mental health. So wherever that kind of takes me. And I think whilst I have a plan for this year and there are definitely goals and things, I'm really, really open nowadays to kind of just that, just saying to the universe, just put into my path whatever I kind of, what I need or whatever it might be, and just following that direction. So fearless is one of my words for this year, though. Fearless to just try anything for the first time, put myself out there, whatever it might be. I think I feel like I hid for so long behind my own mask and behind all these other things that now I just feel kind of this real, I guess, immersive that, I'm kind of maybe the phoenix rising from the ashes. And
I love that. I love that. Hey, that goes right in line with mine. Mine is to collaborate with Oprah Winfrey and Jimmy Fallon this year.
Oh my God.
So hey, I'll have you on board. We can do something. I'm gonna need some fearless people in my camp. Okay. So you set yourself up for that one.
I know. That's what a big goal.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. In so much, like you said, as how people can reach me or connect with me. Pretty straightforward. I'm Naomi Holbrook on Facebook. I also have obviously my Instagram on there and everything. But for the Vibe series well-being group that we're starting from next Monday, the 18th, if people just go to Facebook and they just put in Vibe series, they will find the Facebook page, request to join the Facebook page, and then they will find the link in there to join the 7-day free series. And as I say, we just want, we've created this incredible program for 7 days, 4 of us who are all well-being experts in different fields. And we've put together a really, really fabulous package. We're going to be doing Facebook Lives. We're going to be giving lots of our own stories and experiences, but also lots of help and support. And, I think there's not one of us in the world that hasn't had our challenges in the last 10 months, whether, however people have come through this. I think everybody has experienced some form of, whether it's been trauma, whether it's been anxiety or whatever it is. And that's what we want to do, is just really, really help women to kind of feel safe and comfortable, to share that, to feel vulnerable, and to get help and support that they need.
I love that. And it's all about us coming together and doing what we can. Collaboration is key. I tell you, that has just been my lifesaver. And, it allows you to be able to walk in your zone of genius and bring people along that do the things that you're not gifted in, but you come together to create masterpieces whenever you connect. So that's the thing that I enjoy. So this is wonderful. So For those of you out there watching, I encourage you to reach out to Naomi. This has just been a great conversation, and find people that resonate with you. So if something she said resonated with you, reach out to her. You know, it's about being able to find someone that can help you and understand some of the challenges that you're having, and you're not alone. So when you find somebody that resonates with you, take action. I know because I've been there for 13 years. And, you know, sometimes those opportunities don't keep coming up. You have to take the first step, acknowledge it, and reach out. And so she is available to reach out. Take her challenge. If you want to just kind of get your feet wet first, follow her, get on the challenge, and you know, a great opportunity for you to start out with new beginnings for a new year, with a new attitude and a new destination. So thank you so much again, Naomi, for coming on today. And any last words that you want to share?
Oh gosh, I wasn't expecting you to say that. I feel like I need to have this epiphany now live here. No, I think my last thing to say would be to any woman who's kind of watching and thinking and still having that reservation and just thinking, what I would say is talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend, and whether that's verbally or whether that's inside your head. So if you're saying to yourself, I'm not worth doing this, if it was your friend, you'd be encouraging them. You'd be saying, go do it and I'll hold your hand and I'll come with you. So I think that's probably the one thing I would say is think that you are talking to your best friend or your mother or somebody who you adore and would do anything for, because I think if the tables were turned, they would absolutely be encouraging you to do something that was that was going to benefit your health and your well-being in your future.
Now that is a great epiphany and a great way to put it, because really, you know, that's one of the things that we're not kind to ourselves.
No.
So I love that. That is great. So I'm telling you guys, reach out to her. She knows what she's talking about. So we want to thank you guys very much for spending some more time in the day with us. And if you have any questions, you want to reach out, any comments, please put them in the comments below. We'll be sure to get to those as soon as we can. And just continue being the best version of yourself, seeking people that are like-minded that can help you be a better version of yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching today. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you.